180 AD. One random morning, the Roman Empire wakes up and their swords are gone. In their hands, M4 carbines, catapults replaced by Abrams tanks, and instead of war horns, you've got F-35s screaming louder than your wife laughing at her boyfriend's jokes. Villagers don't hear hoofbeats anymore. They hear the modern soundtrack of freedom, jets ripping the sky open and missiles going kaboom. Now here's what they actually were. Half the world's paying taxes to some sweaty dude in a toga, their roads stretch longer than your hospital bills, and their idea of new technology, just sharper sticks. The legions, 400,000 ironclad gym bros marching in perfect squares and somehow still conquering the world. In sandals. No Wi-Fi, no Google Maps, and toilets that smell like chemical warfare, but domination anyway. Rome wasn't just an empire. It was the dad of the ancient world, the one that went out for milk and actually came back. So here's the question. With modern warfare, does Rome conquer Earth before dinner, or do they fumble harder than Italy in the World Cup? But before we answer that, here's what Rome actually was. It wasn't just big, it was absurd. 60 million people living under one flag, stretching from rainy Britain to the sands of Egypt. They treated the entire Mediterranean not as an ocean, but as their private swimming pool. They built forts, bridges, and aqueducts on Tuesday, then conquered nations on Wednesday. And succession? That was a blood sport. Forget father-to-son rule. Rome did it different. Rome did whoever kills the emperor first gets the job. The Senate would nod along, but the real power sat with the Praetorian Guards. They were supposed to protect the emperor, but half the time they were the ones stabbing him. In 193 AD, they literally auctioned off the throne to the highest bidder. Imagine the Secret Service listing the White House on eBay. That's Rome. Rome was rich, feared, and organized, but also one coin toss away from civil war. Which makes the question, what if these guys suddenly had tanks and fighter jets? Even scarier. So let's say the switch flips and Rome suddenly has everything. Tanks, jets, drones, etc. At first, total chaos. One legionnaire tries sharpening an M4 on a rock. Another is lighting campfires with live grenades. And someone's already poured olive oil into a tank engine because, I don't know, the first fighter jet test flight? Straight into the dirt. Rome now might have modern weapons, but they don't have modern brains. These are still sweaty toga bros wiping their asses with leaves and ashes. So the learning curve? Brutal. Half their drones are lost to farmers throwing rocks at them. Attack helicopters waste all their ammo in training because nobody thought to stop shooting. The first month of modern Rome looks less like world domination and more like a blooper reel. But Romans weren't dumb, they were obsessive engineers. These are the people who built aqueducts that still stand today, who made concrete stronger than what we use now. Give them a problem and they brute force it. The process sure killed a bunch of people and wrecked a lot of gear, but eventually they figure it out. Soldiers start drilling with rifles instead of spears, battle lines adapt to tanks instead of chariots, and they finally learn that a jet is not a flying chariot, it's a weapon with wings. And once they cross that line, it's sandals pressing Abrams pedals, togas whipping in helicopter wind, and drones buzzing overhead like angry Roman bees. Messy start, heavy losses, but now it works. Expansion goes full throttle. First stop, the neighbors. Tribes that once gave them headaches for years suddenly look like warm-ups. Arrows bounce off tank armor like paper clips, and catapults? Those might as well be throwing marshmallows. One drone buzzing overhead is enough to send entire armies running before the fight even starts. Marches that used to take months now take days. Convoys roll in, tanks smash through gates, and entire cities crumble under artillery fire. Any fleet dumb enough to challenge them gets erased before it even leaves the port. And inland, even worse. Rebellions that used to drag on for years are over by lunchtime. Helicopters sweep mountain passes, tanks flatten farmland, and villages that relied on spears and slingshots just vanish under the roar of jets. Within a few short years, borders aren't even borders anymore. The empire doesn't stretch from Britain to Egypt, it stretches over everything they can roll a tank onto. Rome isn't just conquering now, it's speedrunning world domination. It's done. All gone. No more tribes to crush, no more kingdoms to burn, no more borders to cross. It's just Roman red smeared from one end to the other. Every rival flag ripped down, every enemy erased. It's silence everywhere. But Rome doesn't know what to do with silence. Because Rome was built for conquest. Its legions marched, fought, and bled every day for expansion. Take that away and what's left? A bunch of generals with no battles, an army with no enemies, and senators who only know how to backstab each other. An empire that steamrolled the entire planet in weeks is now sitting bored out of its mind, holding more firepower than Zeus and Jupiter combined, and no clue what to do with it. And when Rome has no enemies left outside, the only place left to aim is inside. And inside, Rome is unstable. Generals circle for power, senators plot, and the army sits on mountains of weapons with nothing left to point them at, which means 3 possible outcomes. Scenario 1, the fast burn. The empire doesn't last long. Rome's real downfall was never just enemies, it was Rome itself. Civil wars, jealous generals, backstabbing senators, the whole circus. Give them tanks and jets and it just happens faster. One side tries a coup, another fires first, and suddenly the empire collapses in no time. Rome might not have been built in a day, but it sure collapsed in one. Scenario 2. The Eternal Empire. Rome figures it out, stays organized, and never lets go. With jets and tanks in 180 AD, no one else even gets a chance. The Mongols never rise. The Ottomans gone before they start. No British Empire, no world wars, no United States, no nothing. Just one endless red blob on the map. Humanity still stuck under a single empire that conquered the world once and then hit pause on progress for 1,800 years. Scenario 3. The Slow Rot. Not with fire, but with fatigue. Corruption, bloated spending, too much land to manage creep back in. Rebellions spark and the empire slowly rusts away. But instead of broken aqueducts and crumbling temples, the ruins are rusting tanks and abandoned jets. In the end, modern weapons might change how Rome fights, but not who Rome is.